You are now watching the True TCG. Hello everyone, True here, back with another video. I know it's been quite a few months since I last uploaded. Didn't really cover too many decks from battle styles, but we're back, and hopefully gonna be uploading a bit more consistently now that summer has now started. We're near the middle of summer now, so hopefully I can get some videos in before the summer's over, and yeah, just get back into the YouTube cycle. And in today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. I'm pretty sure I butchered that pronunciation, but we'll just go with it. So this card is probably one of the, if not the best card released from the set Chilling Reign. It has the ability Underworld Door, which allows us to, once during our turn, attach a Psychic Energy card from our hand to one of our bench Psychic Pokemon. If you attach it, and then if you attach the Psychic Energy, you get to draw 2 cards. And Max Geist basically synergizes super well with this. It allows us to do 30 more damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of our Pokemon. So basically, the general idea behind this deck is to get out a bunch of Shadow Rider Calyrex Vs on your board early game, and then set up preferably 3 or 4 Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAXs and just start swinging super hard, super fast. Yeah, so that's the general engine behind this deck, and this is Gabriel Smart's list. I only changed 1 card. I cut a Path to the Peak for 1 Ordinary Rod. This is his list from the Absolem Cup, one of the most recent ones that I found on Limitless. I was looking for a list, and this one looked probably the best to me. Gabriel's also a very good player, so I got this list from him, made an edit, and yeah. So and along with Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX, we also play Galarian Rapidash V. This card is very, very strong. Librahorn is the primary reason we play it. Psychic, not really, but it's an option, I suppose. Librahorn allows us to put damage counters on one of our opponent's Pokemon until its remaining HP is 100. This card is very good in this deck for a lot of reasons. For one, Librahorn allows us to set up early KOs in the early game, because in the early game, when we don't have too many energies on board, setting up KOs with Librahorn on things like VMAXs can be very nice, and allowing us to finish it off with Max Geist early on is a very nice synergy, so that we can just build up our board state until we have enough energies to start one-hit KOing things. And another really good thing to note is that Galarian Rapidash V is just a V, so our opponent does only take 2 prizes when we KO it. So ideally, our opponent has to go through a Galarian Rapidash V, go through a Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX, and then another Calyrex VMAX, because when our opponent takes out one of these and one of these, they'll be down to 1 prize card, which also plays perfectly into the Reset Stamp to 1, which is very strong combined with Path to Peak, which is another really good reason we play this. Once we've got the majority of our energies on board, we can just throw down Path to Peak, Reset Stamp our opponent, start going in with Night Watch as well, and yeah, just hopefully disrupting our opponent to the point where we can close them out of the game, which is a really strong addition to a deck like this, and I definitely do like having that option there. We play 1 of the Dedenne-GX just in case we ever brick and need to draw cards, 1 Gengar Mimikyu-GX because Horror House GX is a great attack, and Poltergeist is also a very nice option to have. Just having a lot of options available, and double Marshadow is great for getting rid of chaotic swells and our opponent's Path to the Peaks, maybe in the early game when we don't want Path to Peak to be in play, things like that. And we also do play the Trevenant, like I mentioned earlier. Just Night Watch is super good in the late game. When we stamp to 1, we can go in with Night Watch, disrupt our opponent, put them in top deck mode, and hopefully close out the game from there. Trainer line is pretty straightforward. 4 Fog Crystal, 3 Calm, 4 Quick Ball, 1 Ordinary Rod, 1 Stamp, 4 Switch. I'm definitely liking the high count of Switch in this deck. It's been feeling super nice. Yeah, I've seen lists with 3 Air Balloon, 2 Switch, stuff like that. I like 4 Switch, 2 Air Balloons. It's been feeling really nice. And our supporter line sort of interesting. We play 4 Boss's Orders, 3 Marnie, and 4 Research. So not playing that 4th Marnie, we're going with the 4th boss. I feel like this is sort of a flex space where you can cut a boss, put in a 4th Marnie if you choose to do so, but 4 boss has been feeling really nice. Just having access to an aggressive gusting option in the both early and late game is really, really nice. So yeah, that feels really strong. We play 14 Psychic Energies, no Horror Energies, because we want to be able to utilize Underworld Door as much as possible. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say for the list, and let's get into some games. Alright, so getting into our first game here against CX Eric. Good luck to him or her. And we do win the coin flip, so I'm not really sure whether or not I want to go first or second. I'll opt to go first because I do want to get out a bunch of Calyrex Vs onto the field as soon as possible. Let's roll with that for now. Our opponent does have that Shadow Rider Calyrex V deck box, so maybe we're up against a mirror, who knows. And yeah, let's see what our starting hand looks like. We're both taking mulligans, so nothing yet to see so far. We are starting with the Trevenant. No way to search out no way to search out any Calyrex Vs yet. Our opponent's still taking the mulligan, so that gives us a couple of more chances to draw into a Fog Crystal. Even a Calm would work here, or a Quick Ball, or one of our 4 Calyrex Vs would all be very nice. And what I mean by this is because we do start with Trevenant, so maybe we can Night Watch our opponent, and it does look like we're up against Gardevoir from those mulligans that we saw. And hey, there's a Calyrex V. That's an awesome draw here. And yeah, alright, this is pretty straightforward. What we need to do, we bench this, we attach the active, and we pass the turn. Yeah, nothing better to do, I think. Can't really play anything else. We don't want to switch into this, obviously, in our opponents. Yeah, let's see what our opponents got going for them so far. We are up against that Gardevoir, so I think this is a pretty solid matchup. Our opponent does play, and just a pass from our opponent. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and evolve this Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. I don't think I really want to go with the Marnie here. Our opponent didn't do a whole lot last turn. They didn't attach to the bench one, so maybe they don't have an energy in hand. We do know that Calyrex has an attack like Frogadier from one of the break sets where they can get a bunch of Calyrex onto the bench. So maybe we don't want to Marnie our opponent this turn. We can go ahead and go with that Underworld Door, draw 2 cards, and yeah, this draw's just looking, oh shoot, it attaches to the bench. Okay, that's a huge misplay on my part. I completely forgot about that. So Underworld Door only attaches to the bench Pokemon, so I should have switched into this and then done that. Okay, that's something to remember. That's definitely a pretty big misplay on my part, unfortunately. But you learn from your mistakes, as they say. So maybe we top deck the Fog Crystal here. No, we draw into the Fog Crystal. I feel like we can potentially go for a Gengar Mimikyu. Just go for a Horror House, make it so we can delay our opponent another turn. Yeah, I think I like going for Gengar Mimikyu here. This feels pretty good. Since we're not going to be able to go for Night Watch because of my misplay. And I'm just going to go with the research here, hoping to see there's a Psychic Energy. That's a good draw, and this setup's and this follow-up's looking super good. So we're going to attach this balloon, attach the active, and yeah, just go for Horror House here. So this is hopefully we don't get too punished for my misplays. I think Horror House definitely makes up for that. So I'm gonna evolve here, and we do have that Night Watch set up and ready to go. And yeah, our opponent's a Stage 2 deck. Their deck's pretty darn slow, so I think we'll be able to take advantage of the situation yeah, rather well. So our draw here is looking really solid. Can attach to this, can calm away this Galarian Rapidash V. We likely will not be needing that in this specific matchup, to say the least. Can get out a Shadow Calyrex V, and I don't really see a reason to research. I like holding on to Stamp. We basically have everything we really need. Our opponent's not putting on a lot of pressure. Let's just go for that Night Watch, and yeah, hopefully disrupt our opponent to some degree. And we shuffle in both Ordinary Rods. That's not really what I wanted to see there. Would have liked to see maybe whatever the evolution of this is back into the deck, but it's fine. There's the evolution incense. Yeah, like hitting both of the Ordinary Rods didn't really feel too good there. But let's see if our opponent has the energy. There's the level ball. Okay, so we're not gonna win if they don't have the energy so far. Maybe they have a draw supporter. There's the Bruno from our opponent. Alright, so our opponent's not dead drawing yet. They probably held the Bruno, actually. So yeah, that Night Watch there really wasn't that good for us, to be quite honest. We hit probably 2 of the worst cards. Though they could have Ordinary Rod back the Rods, they probably would have held it anyways, because they probably wanted to save it for like more Curliers and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm gonna evolve this. Yeah, our board's just looking super good right now. Yeah, I really just want to hold on to the Stamp because Stamp feels super good in this matchup, being able to Stamp our opponent to 3. But then again, if they get set up with things like Gardevoir, it probably won't really matter since Gardevoir has that super strong ability where they can just see a bunch of cards. So maybe it doesn't really matter. I'm going to attach Balloon here, probably. Or maybe Balloon here is better. If our opponent hits us next turn, we probably want to move this into like our benched Calyrex VMAX and swing with that. So I think I will settle for that. So attach this here. Don't want to really throw down the path to the peak since it's not really effective in this matchup. yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with research here. No real reason to hold on to this hand, I think. Would have loved to see a Marnie there, but unfortunately no such luck. And this draw looks extremely good. Let's start off with an Underworld door here. Start off by attaching that Psychic Energy to there. And hey, there's another Psychic Energy. I'm gonna go ahead and attach that there. Yeah, just grab another Fog Crystal. Grab another Energy. Use another Underworld door. And as you guys can see, we're seeing a bunch of cards, which is really the strength behind this deck. We're getting so many energies onto the board. And yeah, just hitting super duper hard. I feel like we can hold on to all of this. Can probably actually calm away this Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. And yeah, probably just start burning these search options because they don't really feel too useful anymore. Probably hold on to the Fog Crystals in case our hands get disrupted somehow. That acts as an out to draw for the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX's ability. But as for now, I feel pretty safe just burning all these search options. And yeah, just going for that Night Watch. Yeah, our draw's looking pretty good so far. We have a follow-up turn with Marnie. We also have Switch. And we get rid of a Research and a Psychic Energy. Both pretty solid cards to see go, I think. Especially that Research. And yeah, let's see what our opponents got going for them this turn. We're looking super good so far. Yeah, so let's see what our opponent can piece together. Their start's still been pretty slow. They've gotten all their colors on board, but we have taken a few prize cards, so that is awesome. There is the Gardevoir from our opponent with that Evolution Incense. Yeah, and they opt to evolve the bench. All right. So once during your turn, you may for each. Okay, so it's attached to this Pokemon. So our opponent's gonna need a lot of energies onto this Gardevoir, most likely. So our opponent opts to evolve the benched one. That they probably have another one in hand, and yeah, so our opponent's not hitting a lot of energy here is pretty big. There's the Oranguru from our opponent, so that's definitely gonna help them out quite a bit. Yeah, let's see how it goes. There's a level wall. They get out a Ralt. Yeah, it looks like our opponent's having a pretty slow start here. I'm definitely not complaining. And yeah, let's see what else they can piece. There's the boss. But we do have the Switch, so this probably doesn't really matter. And we do have the Fog Crystal, so hopefully just maybe we can hit a boss the next turn. Maybe boss up something like Gardevoir. And there's the Gallade. And oh wow, this actually hits pretty hard. But it is weak to Psychic, so we can probably take a KO on this. And there's the Faint from our opponent. So I do feel pretty threatened by this because they can hit pretty hard with that Dynablade. So I'm more than inclined to just take a knockout on that. Yeah, we're just gonna go for that Underworld door here. Attach the Psychic Energy to the Bench Shadow Calyrex V. Go for the switch into the Trevenant and Dusknoir, and I do just feel pretty okay taking a KO on this. Don't really need a Marnie. Our opponent didn't do a whole lot last turn. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for that Night Watch here, and we are down to 3 prize cards with just 3 to go. And yeah, we're looking like we're in a really solid spot, and we are also putting our opponent in sort of top deck mode, but then again, they do have the Gardevoir, so disrupting our opponent here, it's not really going to matter too much, but it is still a nice thing to have. Let's see what our opponent's got going for them this turn. Don't really think they can do a whole lot anymore at this point. I feel like this game's basically locked up. There is the Shining Arcana from our opponent. They opt to attach it to the active. They attach 2 to the active. Looks like they might be able to pull off an attack this turn, and yep, they are. So our opponent finally gets their first attack. Good for them, but they are still rather behind this game. So there's the boss on this. Does this take a knockout? No, it does not. Okay, so we'll just go with another Night Watch. That is perfectly fine with me. Can switch back into this. Okay, we do want to be wary about decking out, and there's the concession from our opponent. Yeah, they didn't have anything going for them. Their setup was a little too slow, and we took advantage of Trevenant and Dusknoir that game. Really showed off the strengths of that, and yeah, that's gonna do it for game 1, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Alright, so hopping into our next game here against Izzy D. Good luck to him or her. We do win the coin flip, so like last game, that went pretty well. I'm gonna opt to go first, see how this works out. Let's see what our starting hand, another mulligan, and our opponent's also taking a mulligan. Very similar situation to the last game, and our opponent's got that team challenge gameplay, so we've probably hit a pretty decent opponent, if I had to guess. And like the last game, our opponent's also gonna be taking a mulligan here. So I'm pretty tempted to just start the Galarian Rapidash V, and it looks like we are up against some sort of rogue deck. Alright, we're hitting a bunch of unnaturally interesting rogue decks in this video, I guess. So based on that, with that Twin Energy, I almost don't want to start this Galarian Rapidash V anymore. I think I'm going to opt to start the Marshadow here, because this might be, Galarian Rapidash V might be useless in whatever matchup we're up against. So yeah, our opponent's going to give us an extra card to work with, which is very nice. And yeah, let's see how our hand looks turn 1. So, and yeah, I also do want to see what we're up against. Definitely very interested. Yeah, and there's the card Path to the Peak. Once again, does not seem that useful. And there is the Tauros. Alright, looks like we're up against Tauros. Now, something to note is that Tauros can either be a tech or a or the actual deck, because we did see the Twin Energy, but it is also single strike Pokemon, so it can be comboed with Houndoom no matter what. So probably just gonna quick ball away a Path to the Peak. Doesn't really seem too useful in this matchup either. Against Rogue decks, Path to the Peak seems like a rather weak card to work with, so I'm gonna opt to quick ball that away. Probably just gonna go for a Shadow Rider Calyrex V here. Probably gonna bench that, and I'm really tempted to just calm this away. So something we can do here is just attach to this and probably just set up an attack with the VMAX next turn. It would be pretty easy to get. We could just attach this turn and then go for the Underworld Door and hopefully hit a Psychic Energy off of that, maybe our top deck as well, and then we can just switch into it. Or we could calm this away and potentially set up a Trevenant the next turn. I'm gonna opt to go with probably the Trevenant. I feel like that's the better attacker for a couple of reasons. So I'm gonna opt to go for the Trevenant here. Just gonna bench this, attach to it, pass over to our opponent, see how this works out. I also could have grabbed another horse. That wouldn't have been bad either. But I'm really just trying to land off an attack here. So let's see how things work out. Opponent's gonna go with the Calm, probably gonna grab out a Houndour, I would imagine. And something to note is that our opponent can attack with the Houndour, so we do need to be wary of that. Unfortunately, we can't really play around that because both Trevenant and Dusknoir and Shadow Rider Calyrex V are actually weak to Dark, and our opponent opts to quick wall away Single Strike Energy, which I'm pretty happy about because the more energies our opponent gets rid of, the less damage they do, I guess technically, if they get rid of Single Strike Energies. There's the Marnie from our opponent. I'm not really happy about that, but I'm not too upset. Maybe that can get us closer to a Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. This hand's not looking too bad. Fog Crystal can get out another Shadow Rider Calyrex V, which is good. We also have an energy to work with, so overall not looking terrible so far. Our opponent goes with the Quick Ball, getting rid of a Mew here. Definitely a card to get rid of because Mew is useless in this matchup, and probably might see another Houndour. Or maybe another attacker or something like that. And yeah, so what does Tauros actually do? This does 20 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. That just seems super bad, so not too sure why our opponent's really playing this deck. Tauros seems like the main attacker actually, so this is pretty interesting. There's a Research top deck, so I think I'm actually going to opt to Research over Marnie because our opponent has a 3-card hand. I don't really want to give them more cards, so I'm gonna attach here and then just go with that Research and hopefully find an attack. Finding an attack here would be super strong, and we actually do hit it. That is huge. Alright, so I'm not gonna Fog Crystal yet because we do want to hit some energies maybe, or another Shadow Calyrex V off of this Underworld Door. So let's see what we hit. And hey, there is a Shadow Rider Calyrex. So we're gonna play the Fog Crystal here just to see what we have in deck. Do only have 2 left, 2 in deck, so maybe I don't need to grab this one. I think I'll just grab an energy for that following turn, hold on to everything else, play the switch into this Trevenant and Dusknoir, and yeah, just go for that Night Watch. And yeah, we're really set up. Getting a Night Watch turn 2 feels super great, and yeah, we shuffle back an Earn and a Research, 2 great cards. And if our opponent's left in top deck mode, then we're definitely just gonna take advantage of this and win that game. Yeah, and our opponent's deck also does play a lot of clunkiness, just a bunch of Houndooms as well, so we definitely could see a dead draw here. There is the capture to the Houndour, so maybe just want to boss this. There's the Oricorio. Okay, so our opponent's going to see some cards here, but again, not a lot of cards, so they definitely could still dead draw here. They do have a pretty thick deck of cards to say the least, and our opponent plays down, and there's a concession from our opponent. Yeah, they really didn't have anything going for them, and I think that's going to do it for the video today. No real good matchups against meta decks, unfortunately, but I do think I showed off the consistency well enough to where I'm satisfied. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, remember to have a good day, stay safe, and peace out.